So planning starts with making the time. We all have very busy lives, and if you don't find the time for your book or you let other things get in the way, it won't get written. But if you do find the time for your book and make steady progress, it will get written. And so what I'd like you all to do is, if you have a calendar with you now, I'd like you to actually take it out and just write a date and time. Make a date with yourself now for a time that you're going to work on your book. And this is something that people who are watching the video can do too. Take out your calendar or your Outlook or whatever you use and make a time right now. And you really have to be determined with yourself that either you're going to keep that date, or if something else comes up, you're going to reschedule immediately. Think about too, what's a time of day that you're creative? What's a time you have good energy? Now, if you have kids and you really know you're not going to be able to write until 9 o'clock at night, and that's a time when you're flagging, think about how you can make it work. Can you go for a little walk first and get your energy up, or do jumping jacks, or something that's going to shift the energy? Listen to music. But if you just come to it exhausted, that doesn't work. So I want you to think about what's going to make it work that time too, and schedule that in as well. I want you to calculate too over time how long you think it's going to take to actually write the book. And we won't do that right now, but I want you to think about it later, and we'll have time at the end, as I said, how long will it take me to write a chapter? And then how many chapters do I think the book will have? And so if you think it's going to take 10 hours to write the chapter, and there are going to be 10 chapters, then that's 100 hours. So you want to get a sense of how long you think it's going to take to have a first draft, and then also editing it over time. And once you've done that, this isn't written in stone. A plan is just a starting point. So it's going to change, it's going to be dynamic, and you're going to come back to it and say, oh wow, it took me twice as long as I thought, so now I have to re-plan. And that's fine, that's natural and normal. So just expect in the process you'll be refining as you go along. So the next thing about your plan is, it's really important to know what you need to write. So we're talking about writing a book, but actually if you want a publisher for your book, a traditional publisher, then you actually want to write a book proposal. And then the book is something you'll write once you have your publisher. The book proposal includes parts of the book. It includes the table of contents, summaries of the chapters, and it also includes 1 or 2 sample chapters. But it is a little different. It includes some additional things like a marketing plan. It includes information about your platform, which is your fan base basically, or how you reach people now currently, and information about kind of what marketing you've done in the past, if you've been on TV or radio. So all of that is going to be important to the book proposal. I'm not going to go into all the details of book proposal, but I can tell you a very good book and a fabulous resource is Michael Larson's How to Write a Book Proposal. And I use that format with all my clients, and they've been very successful with it. I also have talked to agents who've said that's their preferred format is Michael Larson's format. People just love it because it really not only speaks about the book, but about the person who is going to be writing and therefore promoting the book. And publishers really want to know that you're going to be good at getting the word out there and getting that book into people's hands, in addition to writing a great book. So that's the book proposal. And now, if you're self-publishing, you don't need to worry about a book proposal. You can just write your book. Although there's some things in the book proposal that are very useful. So the next thing you're going to need to do is write your outline. And it's interesting, I had a coaching session with a client today who did write a table of contents, but it was pretty sparse. And as I read his first 3 chapters, the book was just digressing all over the place. And as a reader, you can imagine, when you think of yourself even, how many different things are calling our attention at once. We're such a busy culture, so much information coming at us. If you want readers to read your book and stick with it, you've got to be on point. And everything I read as a reader, I want to be saying, yes, that's what I need. Yes, and that answers my question. It's like I'm climbing up a ladder or a rope or something, and you want to take me step by step by step. If I feel lost and I think, I don't know where this person's going, then you've lost me. I may very well put that book down, and I may not pick it up again, and I'm probably not going to recommend it to other people. So this is really key, is that you want, it's almost like a flow chart. We go from this to this to this, and every paragraph has to take me through in a way that makes sense to me as the reader, and every paragraph sentence to sentence has to take me through that way. So from one sentence to the next, each one has to build upon the next, and I can't throw in a sentence into that paragraph that it isn't really clear to the reader why I'm giving them that information. And if it's something that's interesting but it's not directly on point, put it in a sidebar. So the outline is really going to help you to know what to say next and what to say next and what to say next. And it's going to make it much, much easier to write the book. So as I gave this new client the assignment and told him about some of the things I thought should be in the book and some of the things I thought he should take out, he started to realize it was going to be much, much easier as he wrote the outline the way I described to write the second version of his book. And so that's one of the things that I hope you'll take away from this, is that when you have a good outline, it is so much easier to write your book. And so instead of just sort of struggling along, and what do I say next, and should I put in this or this, it'll just be very much more clear to you. And so it'll be an easier process, and I think a more fun one too. So he was very excited when we got off the phone, because I think he realized he'd been struggling a lot, and this was going to be a much lighter path. Next thing under plan is support. And that's really important. I think sometimes people, especially people who are very active, sort of type A, do-it-yourselfers, think, well, I can just do it by myself. I'll just push myself through this and it'll work. But it really helps to get support. I'm going to talk about different ways you can get support, and I hope you'll think about people in your life who might be able to serve that purpose. So one person would be a buddy, and that somebody who actually is also writing a book, ideally. And so there are a bunch of ways you could do that. You could certainly get together at a cafe and type away at your books. You could also just call each other and make a date. Okay, 3 o'clock on Friday. I'm going to work on my book. I'll work on mine. You call each other and say, okay, I'm starting. And maybe even talk a little bit about what you're going to do. Hang up the phone and do it, and call back at the end of the hour or 2 hours and say, okay, I wrote my part. Did you write? Yep, I wrote mine. And it really keeps you honest. It's a great way to work. And you can even do that by email. If you're not writing at the same time, you can still email each other the beginning and end of the day. Yes, I wrote at 3. Well, I didn't, but I'm going to write tonight at 5. Okay, well, write to me tomorrow and let me know that you actually did it, or write to me when you're done. So it's a way to really be accountable and egg each other on. And I find that people who do that really find that they write their books a lot faster and with a lot less stress, too. So another group that's going to be a great supporter of your readers, and I hope everyone will do this, is to actually pick people in your target audience and ask them to read your book. And even if you've only got one chapter, to start to get some feedback about it, because you may find that you're writing the wrong book, or there's a whole area that you're kind of leaving out that your readers are going to tell you they need in the book in every chapter. So they're going to be a great input to you for figuring out what the book should actually be like. And if you listen to readers early on and refine your book that way, you'll find you save a lot of time and you write a better book, and you'll sell more copies too. And it'll make people happier because they'll get what they want and need.